In this video today, President Trump celebrates Purple Heart recipients at the White House in a historic move. Also, the president exposed the Biden administration for overestimating job numbers in the amount of 1.8 million. So as usual, we'll show you what both sides are saying about these stories and more in this video and give you the bottom line.
This is also National Purple Heart Day, and we're here to honor and celebrate the unyielding patriotism and grit and devotion to America's Purple Heart veterans is great emotion and great love. The Purple Heart dates back to August 7th, 1782. That's a long time, when General George Washington awarded a heart-shaped purple cloth to 3 soldiers for outstanding gallantry and service in battle. This afternoon, we're joined by dozens of Purple Heart recipients and their families, and just as General Washington did 243 years ago, today we give our everlasting thanks to you and your unbelievable families. We want to thank you very much for being here. It's my great honor.
Okay, so just a few things here. Number one, President Trump should get a lot of respect for doing this. Why? Because he doesn't have to do things like this. Which brings me to point number 2. Under the Biden administration, they never had a Purple Heart event in this way at the White House. Yes, they did acknowledge holidays affiliated with veterans. Yes, they did have a Medal Honor ceremony, but nothing like this. So good on the president for hosting something like this. And these people should be recognized. Now, I have a couple more thoughts about this, but let's hear more from the president.
Every Purple Heart tells a story of courage, sacrifice, and purpose. It speaks of a price paid for the soldier beside you, the country behind you, and the generations of Americans yet to come. And we have some great generations to follow. It's going to happen. Those who wear this medal ran into bullets, faced ferocious bombs, and shed their blood on the field of battle. We will never forget what they did. We will always use them as an example of bravery and courage and strength. And we will also always think, when we look at them, of our great American flag.
Okay, so here's a fun fact, and I learned this after 13 years of service. Did you know that the Medal of Honor is ranked number 1 as far as the highest award you could receive? Now, the reason why I'm putting them in the same sentence is for this reason alone. You cannot receive those 2 awards based on performance. That's not why you get them. You get them because more than likely you were killed in action, so your family's probably receiving them after the fact, or you were seriously injured and you did something heroic, okay? Now, the awards between the Medal of Honor and Purple Heart, in my own opinion, in my experience, are awards that are based on performance and politics. Sometimes you'll hear someone getting a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, and that's not to take anything away from them. But at the same time, if you serve in the military, you know those awards people can get, and they really have no business getting them. You can't pull that off with a Purple Heart or Medal of Honor. So the bottom line is the people that showed up at the White House today definitely deserve the recognition. If you ever come across someone who's received a Purple Heart, they definitely deserve your recognition. And that's all I really have to say about that.
100 different veterans being honored today on National Purple Heart Day. Tell us about what we should expect to see from the White House.
Well, you can't beat the gathering of folks you're going to see today. These are the best of the best in the country. This is a medal that goes all the way back to George Washington. You earn it for being killed or wounded in combat. I'm bringing folks of mine who serve with me who are Purple Heart recipients over at the Office of the Secretary of Defense, maybe soon to be Secretary of War. We'll see. Stand by, because that's what we do. We close with and destroy the enemy. And these Purple Heart recipients are going to be celebrated, as they should be, as we ought across the country in every civic manner possible. You see, we're putting the spotlight exactly where it belongs and where it should be, on those who give up everything, are willing to, for the country. We're proud of it. We give them everything they need. We're restoring the warrior ethos. And I think that's what you see from this. And you know what? We didn't even talk about the recruiting numbers, Will. I mean, in the last 100 days, meaning of the 200, we've set historic records, and that's because courageous young Americans want to do what previous generations did of those recipients who got the Purple Heart. They want to do tough, gritty things to defend freedom. These men and women have done it. We're going to celebrate them today. President Trump loves them, and they love him, and it's a pretty cool thing that we're doing at the White House today.
Okay, so just 2 things for you. Clearly, if you're a Democrat and you hate President Trump, you're not going to recognize what happened today because you bought into the lie that he believes veterans are suckers and losers, even though there's no video footage, no audio tapes to corroborate that story, just somebody's hearsay opinion. All right. And point number two, Pete Hegseth, make of him what you will. He's the right Secretary of Defense for this moment. And what I mean by that is the military needs to get back to basics, okay? Now, our next story, and this is still staying on President Trump because he was busy today. So in the Oval Office, Stephen Moore showed up, okay? This is really great. And they produced numbers to prove that under President Trump, wage growth has gone up, job numbers have gone up, and they provided their own graphs. This is just great. Take a look at this.
And so I called the president because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before, and I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not
It might
making
not have been an error, that's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
Okay, so 1.5 million jobs overestimated.
I don't know how you get it wrong by 1.8 million. Now, some people may argue this individual did not deserve to be fired. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter about what this individual deserves. She was a federal employee, and the president has the authority to fire anyone in the executive branch. That's already been proven. But what's more important is not necessarily what she deserved. What's more important, the American people deserve to hear numbers that are accurate. Now, in this next clip, we're talking about median household income. And you guessed it, it's up since President Trump came into office. Take a look.
We have access to the some data that no one else does on what has happened month by month with median household income. This is based on unpublished Census Bureau data. It will be released sometime in the next 6 months, but we get an advanced look at it. And so I was telling the president in his first 5 months in office, starting in January through the end of June, the average median household income adjusted for inflation for the average family in America is already up $1,174. That's an
incredible number.
Yeah.
Just came out.
Just came out. So that's a giant gain.
And if I would have said this, nobody would have believed it. There's your number.
Okay, this is exactly what President Trump promised. But I want to give you guys the full picture here, starting with this fact. There's a lot of people in this country, they don't have an affordability crisis, okay? They're not complaining about the cost of things. Who are these people? I don't know. Let's think of the researcher or engineer who's in AI that just received an offer from Meta in the ballpark of $1.5 billion over the next 6 years. Yes, that was a legitimate offer. There was another offer that was made, $250 million. Okay, so people in the tech area, they're doing just fine, okay? Now, even if you take a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, standard, okay, the only thing these people are complaining about is the price of their student loans because the interest rate has gone up. It's crazy. I think I saw one yesterday that was at 14%, which means the interest is more than what they borrowed. And then this brings us to the people that I believe we really should be paying attention to. And it's the people with an average income. They work 9 to 5, 40 hours at a minimum, and they're barely making it by. Okay. The thing about this administration that President Trump still needs to deliver on is making the conditions just right so that their income can go up. Now, he's already taken step one of that, which is to make the tax cuts permanent. And that is a promise that he has kept. Now, speaking of promises he has kept, I want you guys to pay attention to this exchange between Frank Luntz and CNN. The panel just goes silent when he tells them the truth about what President Trump has done. Take a look.
If you voted for Donald Trump, this is exactly, almost to the letter, what you wanted. You didn't mind about the anger. You didn't mind conflict between the Republicans and the Democrats. What you wanted was to make a border safe and secure, which they've done. What you wanted were tax cuts, which he's done. What you wanted was cuts to spending, which he's done. Element after element, he delivered exactly what he said he was going to do. And that's why his own voters believe that this has been an incredibly successful presidency.
Yeah, and that's a given. We know that because we're comparing him to not only his first term, but even the Biden administration. And when you look at both situations, he's done far more than he did in his first term and what Biden did in 4 years, just in 200 days. So I believe that to be true. Now, obviously, if you're on the opposite side of things, you're saying this is the worst president in history. The problem is the facts are not on your side. You can't make that statement and forget about what Joe Biden did and think you're going to have credibility on that statement. You just won't. Okay, that is the reality. All right, so now we move to our next story. As you guys know, President Trump has already said publicly that he might be interested in federalizing D.C. to clean up crime and the streets. Now, this has led to CNN doing their own investigation and people pushing back on this. So we'll look at what both sides are saying and give you guys the bottom line to it. But I want you guys to pay attention to this. Take a look.
We have also reached out to the office of the mayor, Muriel Bowser, for comment on this idea that the president has put forth on trying to federalize the city, saying that we may have to run the city the way it's supposed to be run. Mayor Bowser, despite multiple attempts from CNN to get comment, has not commented on that, has not commented on the idea of the federal government taking over the city. She has been treading very carefully on this. We've asked for the mayor to go on camera, and so far she has declined to comment on any of this. We have also reached out to the Metropolitan D.C. Police on the idea that President Trump has put forth on taking over the police and saying that violent crime is a huge problem in this city. So far, the Metropolitan Police have declined to comment on any of that and declined to put their chief, Pamela Smith, on camera with us. So we'll keep trying to get them to comment on all of this. As you mentioned, Kate, violent crime, though, is in fact down considerably in this city, 26% down from a year ago at this time. Carjackings have also been going way down. So, you know, the facts of the matter remain that the city is on a positive trend as far as violent crime. But again, when a high-profile incident like this occurs, especially with someone attached to DOJ, which is such a controversial entity in and of itself, you're going to get a lot of brushback and a lot of buzz around it. We're going to see if the city officials and the mayor and the police have anything to say about it. We've also reached out to just about every member of the D.C. City Council. None of them have commented on it except for one, Christina Henderson, who voiced some frustration that the federal government, including the Biden and Trump administrations, have not approved or nominated enough judges to handle the criminal caseload, and the Senate has not approved them. So that's the only comment we've heard of from anybody who's involved in running this city so far.
So according to CNN, there's nothing here. There is no crime problem. What President Trump is saying is just lies. And we don't need the president federalizing or doing anything of that nature. If you do look at the numbers, to be fair, certain categories of crime are down in D.C., but that doesn't mean what happened this year should go unnoticed. That's why Fox News is saying this. Take a look.
President Trump is warning D.C. lawmakers that crime in the city is totally out of control. This after a recent high-profile incidents like a former DOJ staffer attacked and a congressional intern killed, spotlighting the brutality the city's facing.
Meanwhile, across the river in Virginia, Governor Youngkin is blaming soft-on-crime policies in Fairfax County for allowing the release of a repeat offender 3 days before he was caught on camera, allegedly trying to kidnap a child at a shopping mall.
That is what soft-on-crime results in. When there is no consequence, then there is no rule of law. This pocket in Fairfax County where there is a Soros prosecutor, and this gentleman keeps letting people out early. We had someone who had committed a hit and run, or at least been arrested for a hit and run. He had a rap sheet a mile long, but they let him go. And 3 days later, he is caught on closed-circuit TV scooping up a 3-year-old toddler and trying to take her away.
Yeah, so here's what you guys should know about all of this. Two things are true at the same time. Certain categories of crime is down in D.C., but not all. In fact, homicides are up in D.C. if you're looking at it over the past 10 years. So you could play with the numbers to basically make your argument that's exactly what Democrats have been doing.
Violent crime is down 26% so far this year in the nation's capital compared to last year, but homicides have been trending higher than a decade ago, and crime has spilled outside D.C. as well. As you just heard, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin is calling on Attorney General Jason Miyares to investigate how Fairfax County officials handled an attempted abduction at a mall in Fairfax County. The surveillance footage captured a 26-year-old man picking up a 3-year-old girl after she wandered away from the play area. The man was released from jail just 3 days before the incident, had multiple offenses. It's not the first time Virginia's Republican leadership has criticized Fairfax County's attorney Steve DeSano, a Democrat and former Obama federal prosecutor. Miyares has called on DeSano to resign after what he said was a failure to prosecute sex offenders and other violent criminals. And President Trump hopes the recently confirmed U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, will set an example for prosecutors in the surrounding area where she says juvenile crime is out of control.
What the president was saying is that we're seeing far too much crime being committed by young people, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, that I can't get my hands on. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, but, you know, young people are coddled, and they don't need to be coddled anymore. They need to be held accountable. If you look at some of these pictures of these kids being beaten by crews and bloodied up, and you want to tell me that, you know, it's only a kid who did it? No. Take a look at the bloodied up face and body, and you'll know that it's more than little kids doing this kind of thing.
Now, given that Washington, D.C. is the capital, you would think that this whole debate surrounding crime wouldn't even exist because the streets would be clean, we wouldn't have a crime problem, etc. So somewhere along the line, the president has made a solid point, and the officials of D.C., they need to respond accordingly to make sure that crime is not getting out of control. Now, speaking of crime, the woman that was knocked out in Cincinnati, Ohio, has been speaking out. And here's what she had to say earlier today. Take a look.
First and foremost, I just want to say that I don't want to relive what happened to me, 8 or 9 days ago. I'm here to talk about the future and how we can change it, how we can prevent this from happening to anybody else. These heinous crimes have to stop. I never want this to happen to anyone else, especially a mother, a daughter, somebody who is loved. So I just know what it's done to my family, not just to me. And I think that moving forward, we do need more accountability. And I definitely think that, we need more police officers, but like he said, the judges who are just letting people out with a slap. The man who attacked me and might have permanently damaged me forever should never have been on the streets, ever. And the fact that he had just gotten out of jail previously for something he should have been in there for years, it's really sad to me because I can't even fathom how many other people who have been attacked by the same type of man over and over and over. In Toledo, in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, our streets are being taken over and nobody is doing anything. I am so sad, and I need to be the voice to help all of the victims that never got their justice. So I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how Democrats respond to what she had to say, because especially the race hustlers out there. Okay. But, she seems nice, and everything she said there was spot on. She didn't make it really political or race driven or anything of that nature. I think at the end of the day, when you have people as a group stumping someone out, yeah, we have an issue. Now, a one-on-one fight between two men, I really don't have a problem with. But once you have a mob, a group, a bunch of thugs, now we've crossed the line, especially when she was the one that was damaged the most that night. Okay, so now it's time to get your guys' reaction in the comment section below to a couple of things here. The president did celebrate Purple Heart recipients at the White House today and sign a proclamation making today National Purple Heart Day. Give me your reaction to that. And what do you make of him bringing in Stephen Moore to prove that the job numbers that have been reported under the Biden administration was off by 1.8 million, including The household median income is up over $1,000. Let me know how you guys feel about all that and more in the comments section below. Now, in our next video, the Los Angeles mayor, Karen Bass, she suffered a humiliating loss today because ICE is continuing to execute ICE raids in Los Angeles, particularly at Home Depots. Now, you've got to see what she had to say about this and more. And if you're interested, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.